All right, everybody, welcome back to Radio Row. Very excited to have new Auburn coach Brian Harsin here. Coach, it's exciting to meet you. I appreciate you taking some time. I know you've done a lot of talking today. The first thing I want to talk to you about while I got you here is roster structure. We hear about it in the NFL all the time. College football, we really don't hear a lot about it. Taking a new job, having to balance a roster to be able to maintain success. How much of a challenge is it taking a new job, you've been at multiple places, to work on balancing that roster to get it where you can compete year in and year out without losing too much at once?
Well, the first thing about the roster, you look at numbers. How many do we have scholarship-wise at this position? How many walk-on players do we have? And then what you don't know is at what level. Yeah. All right, that's the thing. Do we have 3 deep here? Do we need 3 of our best players playing guard? Or do we need this guard to move to tackle or this guard to move to center? And so, when you don't know the roster, what you end up doing is you get a chance to see those guys, and then you start to move things around and say, all right, for our schemes and what we want to do, you fit best here. And then you have that conversation with those players at that time. And so management is about numbers. It's about making sure that you have the depth that you need, but also it's not just depth, it's competition. How do you create the most competition, have the best depth you possibly can on the team in order to get the very best out of your players each and every day? And that just takes time getting to know them.
Definitely. And Coach, having played quarterback yourself, looking at the offense, being able to go from the gun, going under center, being multiple, giving different looks to the defense. How much of a help is it to a quarterback, whether it be Bo Nix, anybody on the roster, TJ Finley, like you said, I love what you said up there about competing. Every year you got to compete. Mm-hmm. To be able to go under center, not only get your pre-snap read on where the safeties are, how many guys are in the box, but instead of having to look at the ball when you catch it out of the shotgun, you can see the rotation after the snap. How important is that, and how much do you think that's going to help the quarterback?
You just said it all. I mean, you know this position as well as I do. I mean, that's really what it sounds like. It's all those things. I mean, you get being under center, you learn timing. All right. If you don't understand timing, it's hard to really get a good feel for your progression and your footwork that goes along with it. Being under center, you can get the ball to the tailback and be downhill. You give your tailback a chance to see the hole, hit it, and be full speed when he does. Being under center, the play action. Watch Peyton Manning. Oh, yeah. Right, I always loved it. Peyton Manning was my guy. Right, play action and how he did it. You can get the linebackers and defense to step up and safeties hopefully, and you got a big play opportunity from that. But I think it's just a part of the game in our system. You watch it in the NFL, guys are under center. I don't want to be in the gun all the time when it's 4th and 1. There's a time for that. There's opportunities for that. Sometimes you got to get under center and you got to hand the ball off and go get that 1 yard. So it's things like that I think are important for us in our systems. I think it's an advantage for the offense when your tailback's in the eye and there's not an offset for a defense to really decide, they're offset here, and there's a lot of cheats and there's no tendencies that way. And it's just part of football, and it always has been for me, and it always will be as long as I'm going to be on the offensive side and working with that group.
Yes, sir, Coach. And just a couple more questions here with new Auburn head coach Brian Harsin. Very excited to talk to him, pick his brain a little bit. Talking about going to a new place, how important is it to be malleable to the personnel that you have instead of being stubborn and stuck in identity? Obviously, it takes 2 or 3 cycles. Not saying you don't have the players you want, but to get it to the identity you have, how important as a new coach in a new league is it to be able to conform to the guys to what you want to do and eventually do what you had planned?
Sure. Yeah, you obviously have a belief in the schemes that you want to run. Yeah. Right? You have your systems. But here's a great thing, in my opinion, that coaches really need to understand. If you want to be an elite coach, then you better be the type of coach that can get the group of players you're working with to go out there and play at the level you want them to. All right? So what does that mean? No, we're not going to run triple option, right? So, yes, but at the same time, if the schemes I've used that I really like don't fit the personnel, then guess what? Grow as a coach. Yeah. You need to be the coach that those players need you to be so they can win games and be successful. And if you can't do that as a coach, if you're too stubborn to do that, that's where you're going to have issues. So learn, grow, develop yourself as a coach, learn new schemes. There's a lot of great ways out there to score points. If that fits you best, then build towards what you have in your personnel. Obviously add in the things that you believe and make sure that they can do that along the way, and you'll start building towards the systems that you really want. But it does start there, but you still got to be flexible, and you got to understand, like, hey, this is what we have, and if we don't have any tight ends, well, we're going to have to figure that out, maybe use no alignment, but that may not be the personnel group we spend the most time in, for example.
Yes, and my last question for you before I let you go, as a guy that is from Boise, that played at Boise, making the decision to come down to Auburn, I'm not going to ask you about the heat or anything. I know deep down at night, you're as competitive as anybody out there. And you want to, at the end of the day, when you get done and hang it up, be able to say, I competed in the league against the best because you think you are the best or one of the best. I'm not saying you're cocky or anything like that, but just you're a competitor. How important is it to you to get down to this league and to be able to coach in this league and see how you do, good, bad, or indifferent, even though I think it's going to be pretty daggum good, to be able to, at the end of the day, when you put your head on the pillow, no, I gave it a shot and I tried to fight the biggest boys and I won.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of competing. It's not just about me, it's about the staff, it's about the coordinators that we brought in, because it's the same mindset. It's about the players on our team believing that you came to Auburn to win championships, not just to come to Auburn. And that's, as a competitor, that's what drives me, is you want to play the best, you need to beat the best, to put yourself in a position to be the best, right? So Auburn gives you that opportunity. SEC gives you that opportunity, and it's out of my comfort zone. That's the other part too. You want to grow and develop, get out of your comfort zone, but also believe in yourself and the things that you're doing, that you can be successful. And when we can get that mentality within our program, then we'll have a chance to be a team that wins and wins consistently, and that we can bring other players and coaches in that also want to be a part of that.
Definitely. Coach, I really appreciate your time. Best of luck. Going to be keeping track of you and excited to talk to you again at some point. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the Jboy Show, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and YouTube. We're out of here. We'll talk to you later. Win in the water cooler, baby. All right.